Appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate all of you taking the time out of your daily work, out of your lives, in order to be here and to learn more about pipelines. As Virginia said, my name is Clayton Bodell. I am the Pipeline Safety Trust's technical director. I come from the industry. I spent about 10 years working for a handful of different pipeline operators in both the gas and hazardous liquid space, as well as the midstream, which is transmission and gathering, and then even a little bit in the distribution space as well. I also spent, as Rich mentioned, I spent 5 years or so working for the federal regulator for pipeline safety, the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. So it's my pleasure to be here and represent and show a little bit of the public perspective, as well as share a brief introduction to the Pipeline Safety Trust. So the Pipeline Safety Trust came from and was founded as the result of an incident on a hazardous liquid pipeline that's been mentioned by Ed a couple times, referred to as the Olympic pipeline incident or the Bellingham accident. This occurred on June 10th, 1999, in which a pipeline that had been previously damaged due to excavation work in the area ruptured, spilling a highly volatile liquid into a creek that then traveled downstream as that highly volatile liquid volatilized and turned into vapor. There was a young man who was fly fishing in the creek who was succumbed to the fumes and ended up drowning in the creek before the fumes ignited, severely burning and eventually causing the death of two young boys. This accident was horrific and tragic and was totally preventable. But the silver lining of it is that the Pipeline Safety Trust came from that, was formed as a result of an endowment through the penalties that were assessed to the pipeline operator, and through the advocacy and the engagement by those affected. The Pipeline Safety Trust has grown into what it is today, and we are the only national watchdog for pipeline safety, and we have the mission as stated on the screen here, where we promote pipeline safety through education and advocacy, increased access to information, and partnerships with residents, safety advocates, government, and industry, resulting in safer communities and a healthier environment. So each one of you here are playing into this mission, and again, we're happy you're here, and we love and appreciate your time and engagement here today. We had a great presentation by Rich and by Ed, and I wanted to share a different outlook or a different perspective, and not that I am in any particular position of authority on it, but I have both represented and I can see both sides of this pipeline safety story. And so I wanted to share in this figure, I believe it wasn't on the slides previously, but it is something on the left, is a figure presented by the American Petroleum Institute, or API, showing that they have a 99.999% safety record in delivering molecules from point A to point B. The middle figure is from the Interstate Natural Gas Association of America, or INGA, representing over the last from the period of 2006 to 2016, a 99.79% safety record in delivering molecules of gas from point A to point B. But what the public sees is generally the impact from that minuscule percentage that doesn't make it from point A to point B. And that is usually despite the operators, the pipeline operators' best efforts in order to keep the product within the pipeline. Now, I wanted to create a little analogy here. A lot of us traveled by airplane to get here. In the United States, for the period just last year, the calendar year 2024, the United States Airlines carried 83.3 million passengers from their destinations domestically and internationally. If we were to take that number and apply it to this API statistic, that would mean that last year, if the same percentages were true, 833 passengers wouldn't have made it. So now I will share in the subsequent slides how many people effectively didn't make it last year as a result of pipelines. But just to show, for Inga here, and that figures over a 10-year period, that equates to 150 people each year that wouldn't make it. Now, molecules of a product aren't the same as lives, but I do want to impress upon you that we don't accept those levels of fatalities even in the aviation industry. And so just to compare, in here on the top chart are the US fatalities and serious incidents. So the fatalities are in red for the pipeline industry. And you can see there's a fairly steady hum of 15 to 20 fatalities per year. And this is going back, this is from data from the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA, showing that steady hum. Now for US air carriers, we see the occurrence of high consequence events resulting in 50 fatalities. Those are generally small aircraft going and crashing, but there are more often than not years of zero in that industry. And whenever we get on a plane, nobody is counting on not making it to their destination. And we hope for the same type of performance for the pipeline industry. Switching gears a little bit, and Ed talked a little bit about incidents. Incidents for the pipeline industry are essentially releases of product that result in one or more of a couple different outcomes. One of them is a fatality or a hospitalization of a person. There's a financial, a monetary threshold, and there's also a release of volume threshold that's associated with these types of incidents. So this same incident data from PHMSA shows all the incidents that have occurred over the last 20 years and how much those incidents cost the operators through lost product, property damage, et cetera. And so we see that very similar to the aviation accidents, this is driven by generally few high consequence events. 2005 being the distribution system impacts as a result of Hurricane Katrina. In 2010, we had a crude oil line rupture in Michigan, as well as San Bruno, a gas pipeline rupture in San Bruno that killed 8 people. In 2018 is a distribution system accident in which a system was overpressured, resulting in the fatality of 1 and the destruction of many, many homes. And then finally in 2022 is an incident that occurred at a liquefied natural gas facility in Freeport, Texas, and additionally a rupture of an oil pipeline, I believe in Nebraska, but related to South Bow and Keystone. And so you can see these accidents, they have a huge financial cost to the operators, but what I want to do, or to us rather, to the public, but what I want to do is put those same figures of accident costs. Can anybody see those in this chart? Believe it or not, they are plotted here in the blue at the very, very bottom. The numbers in green, these are just from the top 20 pipeline operators, and this is their earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, et cetera. Now, generally, they might take home maybe half of this figure, but even if you were to drop these numbers by half, it's still a minuscule percentage. Now, the point that maybe we want to make here, let me not jump too far ahead, the point to make here is that operators, while they have the best of intentions to prevent pipeline accidents, and Rich laid out not all, but a lot of the mechanisms, they are not foolproof. They do have instances that they fall short, and there are processes to continuously improve those, and it's our responsibility as the public to continue to put pressure for them to continue to develop those tools so that we drive that number truly to zero, where we are not having fatalities as a result of pipeline accidents. Now, I am I'm way over what I said I was going to do. But a couple of things that I want to just emphasize, and you'll hear about these through the rest of today and through the rest of the conference. These are our priorities. I've got 2 calls to action, one formal to come in the next slide. But please just be mindful of these. The first one here is regarding in-home methane detectors. That has become a very, recently there's a lot of news about home explosions. And if you have the financial means, please, purchase a in-home methane detector or call your local distribution company if you have gas service going to your house and ask them about it and see if they can provide one. There's a very easy way to provide some safety for yourself and your family. The second one is I want you to envision, while I'm talking about this, I want you to envision a pipeline near your home. And if you know where that pipeline is, there should be a pipeline marker there. And what I would like for you to do is when you get home, please go and take that number that is on that pipeline marker. They are required by the federal regs to have that number on there and program it into your phone. So that way, if there is an odor, or if there is a roar, or if there is some sign of a pipeline rupture, that you would have that number at the ready and not have to be thinking, who do I need to call? Call that number, call 911, and kickstart that process in order to ensure safety for your friends, family, and neighbors. So appreciate your time, and thank you very much.